We all carry weight from the past, regrets, outdated habits, and stories we've inherited that no longer serve us. Today, we're going to look at Anubis, the guardian of the scales. I'm sharing why I'm personally drawn to this energy and how I believe that Anubis and Hecate work as the ultimate partners in navigating the transition into becoming who you are. So stay tuned. Welcome back to By Her Fires. I'm Reverend Renee Susana Olson. As a neurodivergent creator, my notes are my anchor. So you'll see me looking down away from the camera from time to time. I don't edit my videos, so it helps me stay focused so that we stay on track for these little conversations. If I do bounce away, I ask that you bear with me and hang out to the end because I promise it's worth the wait. Today we are talking about Anubis. So Anubis is one of the deities that I hold dear in my I guess my triad, as you would call it, with Hecate standing in the forefront, and then Thoth. In Egyptian history, Anubis is the one in the wrapping room, right? He is the one that represents the highest form of spiritual organization, right? That's what I think of. He's the one keeping everyone on track. He is the guardian of the thresholds, ensuring that nothing crosses over that shouldn't cross over. If you go to this is a very interesting book. I recommend it for anyone who's following Hecate, and anyone really who's interested in magical work. This book, and this is the Greek Magical Papyri in translation by Hans Dieter Betz. This is the book that I'm going to be referencing as we go through this conversation today. In the PMG, Anubis is often referred to or is sacredized with Herman Anubis. He appears frequently in the Greek Magical Papyri as the guide of souls or the protector. For example, in several verses, and I'm just going to go through a couple of those with you, he's referred to explicitly as the guide of Isis. So when we look at, I'm just going to go through a couple of the spells. One, there is a love spell. And it's Mer, who serves the side of the gods, who stir up rivers and mountains, who is the balm of the marsh, Hecate, who consumes the fire goddess Typhon, who is also Horus, the protection of Anubis, the guide of Isis. So this is part of a love spell where he is explicitly referenced. Some of it also has, of course, our voices magica in it. So it's, of course, those nonsensical words that have no real translation, are just sort of meant to be enunciated, and they're thought to invoke that magical work. Another verse that he's referencing, he says, I am the great, I am the son of the great, I am Anubis, who bears the glorious crown of Ra. He puts upon King Iris, King Osiris, King Omphorus, who announces the whole Karth, that you may arouse the heart of, and then you name the person you want to arouse. Then name that person again, was born that I may know what is in her heart for me, for that person whom was born on this day. So that's another reference of Anubis in that particular book. And then together, right, we have Anubis and Hecate mentioned together in the PMG in another verse that's, O primal chaos, Erebus, and you all the waters sink, O streams, Hades, arsenal pool, O Hecate and Pluto and Orc, and Colonus Hethetes, Mora, punishments, both are on us. O the ethereal bars, open quickly. O keyholder, guardian Anubis, send me up the phantoms of the dead forth at this very hour, so that they may go and attract name to me, whose mother is name. So in this verse, we're asking Hecate, Pluto, and Anubis to come forth and raise her up, right? Raise up those as guardians of the dead, raise up those who have passed to help carry out this person's will. And then finally, as this, certainly not the last reference, but the last one I wrote down, this was where Herman Anubis says, let the falcon of the crowns of Horus, the baboons, the crown of Hermanubis, and let the ibis wear the crown of Isis. Put unto the hollow of the heart made of magnetite, and write the following name of the Homeric Papyrus on it to find them hollow. Next, when you meet the iron basque, stand at the basque and put a little juniper wood at the temple at moonrise on the third day of the goddess. So this is instructions, right? So as you're working with your spell, this is what in this particular book says, do these things, right? The magnetite, hollow out the inside of it and put the name inside. So I found those passages to be very interesting. So when we look at the fragments of the PGM, it becomes clear that ancient magicians weren't afraid of mixing deities, right? They called on who needed to be there. By invoking Hecate and Anubis together, they were using a specific protection and guide to prepare the way. She's often referred to as the key holder, and then he is the gatekeeper in the same breath. They're shown as a collaborative team. So what does that mean to me on a personal level? I joined the Coven of Hecate in 2010. I'm looking at my wall where I have notes. Yes, I know, totally. I have boards all over with notes. It's that neurodivergent thing. I can't help it. But yeah, I joined Coven of Hecate in 2010. I became a torchbearer in 2014. And then I opened my sanctuary in 2015. I became a key bearer shortly afterwards. How does this relationship work for me? Well, for me, I see Hecate as the light bringer. That's her most fundamental role. She sheds light on things, and then she unlocks the door. She unlocks that to information, wisdom, that sort of thing. That's how I see her doing her work. So where does Anubis fit in, right? Anubis to me is the judge. He is the one that's looking, he's observing, he's watching what's happening, he's making sure, he's the gatekeeper. He's making sure no one goes any further than they should go. He is the one that covers that. Now, as I've mentioned many times before, I am not a person who takes these words literally, right? I do not believe that is, just like Judeo-Christian beliefs, just like, non-Abrahamic or Abrahamic religions. I do not believe that this is anything more than mythology. Okay. I believe that these are representations of, or the personification of energies, of attributes that we should strive for. And for me, understanding that, Anubis is there to judge, to watch, to see, to make sure no one gets past. I think that's very important in our life, right? We should be there to watch over and make sure that things go as they need to go, to make sure everyone is represented equally and that there's nothing that is taken for granted. We watch to make sure that no one is there of heavy heart. And then when we talk about Hecate, we should be shedding light on things. We should be encouraging others to open their heart up and share their wisdom and their energies with other people. So that's basically how I feel the two of those fit together. So when I think about working with them working with Anubis specifically, I always think of many popular culture references today. Like has been in Stargate. He's been in the House of Anubis. That was a Nickelodeon series. He has been referred to in The Mummy. So all of these different popular cultural references really pull on us to focus our energy on becoming someone who can share that energy with other people, or share that knowledge, that desire for other people to be as forthcoming and to make sure they stay in line, right? It takes a village. So our society has changed. I am 58 years old. I have lived in a world where you ran outside barefoot and chased fireflies, and we called them lightning bugs, but most folks call them fireflies. Um, I drank from the hose. I wouldn't go and mouth off to anyone. If we were in a public situation, I was polite. I didn't drop down on the floor and throw a fit because, my grandma would have tanned my hide. So, um, not to mention, there were other elders who would have done the same thing. We did not show disrespect. And today, we don't have that type of society. Today, everyone just sort of steps back and no one says anything. And I think maybe that lack of caring or that lack of um, village responsibility has created where we are today. When we think about just the different, I can't say too many words because the YouTube sponsor or censors will get me, but where I'm going with this, right? The way schools are today, the way that people just can't be who they want to be. um, for years, I mean, we had tom girls who ran around. That's what we called them, tom girls who ran around fishing. No one tried to take their rights away. But yet here, if a child, if a female born um, child shows the least bit of interest in something masculine, you know, um, society loses their mind and says, "Oh, look at how these our children are being turned trans." It's appalling of how people are not allowing just individuals to be who they are, to sit back and watch and just allow us to grow as a society. I think I may have went off on a little tangent there, and I apologize about that. But yeah, that is where, again, I was talking about Anubis and being in popular culture with American Gods and Assassin's Creed and all of those kinds of things. So he's a very interesting figure from pop culture, from Egyptian mythologies, in the Greek magical papyri, and I feel like I've always been really attracted to that energy. So I include him in my triad, if you will, of course, with Hecate always reigning supreme. So for me, that is the essence of why I choose this deity to follow. I'd be interested to see what others feel. Do you also include um, any other deities along with Hecate? Because this channel is by her fires, it's specifically about her. But I'd be interested to see if you have other interests or other things that you could add about Anubis specifically. So I want to also go over into some announcements that we have. It is coming up on May. We're in the second week of April, so May is coming up. That's Rite of Her Sacred Fires. And if you're interested in participating, this is a worldwide event where those who honor the goddess, not just members of the Coven of Hecate, but all come forward, and we spend one night where we're all focused and thinking and practicing on that particular rite. I'll include a link in the description to the ones that we had before. And if you're interested in joining, there's a Facebook group, Rite of Her Sacred Fires. You can also go to HecateCovenant.com, and you'll find information there, including the rite translated into several languages. You can download the PDF so that you can participate. And of course, the founder of the Coven of Hecate, Sarita Deiste, will be conducting a relay on the night of a Rite of Her Sacred Fires, which is going to be the second full moon in May. She will be conducting a relay where each person will say one line of the rite. It's very powerful, very moving. If you've not participated, I highly recommend it. If you've done it before, come back and join us. It's going to be a great time. For the Sanctuary of Hecate Bremo, we are continuing our work with the Blessing Box of Goldsboro. As many of you are aware, last week, I gave you the quarterly review of what we were doing. We did actually purchase a full box with all of the donations you made. And again, we have regular sponsors who donate every month to help us put food in the box. And this week, we're going to thank MN and SN for your donations. I do only say those names whenever they give me permission. So if you want to remain anonymous, you can certainly do that. But if you want to be included, I will include you in my weekly thank you. The blessing box is, we're going to do our April drop. We're looking forward to putting lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. We're going to put some canned goods. We put protein powder, protein bars, socks, water, all kinds of things to help bring it along. This last donation, when I went out, I actually met some of the recipients of the blessing box, and they were very gracious and thanked us so much for all of the work that we do to keep that box full. So you have their thanks as well as mine. In order to make your donations, you can go to hecatebremo.org. You can donate directly via a PayPal link that's on that page, or you can purchase some of the items we have on the page. I have a few things that are available. Let's see if I have anything handy. I have a couple of these still left. This is a little Hecate icon. So if I hold this up, you can see this. This is an icon of her, and it's a little travel icon that you can put on your key ring and take with you when you're on travel to honor the goddess. I have a couple of those left, so please check that out. You can also pick up my oracle deck. I have the Crossroads Oracle and I have the River Wedge Oracle. These are two oracle decks that I created and printed, self-printed. I did not have anyone helping me with this. So this is all done by my own volition as the Torchbearer project that I had. And you can pick up, I have a couple of these decks left. And then I also offer readings with the decks. So that's my spiel for that. And why don't we, since I have them, hair magic, why don't I do our 3-card pull for today? So this deck is one of the first decks that was specifically dedicated to Hecate. When I created this deck, she was but a footnote. And now you can find tons of decks. There's at least 2 decks that, well, my deck, and then another deck, Kenneth Payne created a deck specifically dedicated to the goddess as well. But you can only get my deck on my website. It's not available anywhere else. I don't sell on Amazon or anything like that. And all the money that you send to this goes directly to the blessing box. So let's pull our first card. So our first card is Oracle. So I'm going to hold that up for you. The Oracle card has its words as prophecy, insight, and divine message. So when we think about this in the Crossroads layout, right, our first one is clarity, right? What part of the shadows is finally being illuminated? Now this is the Oracle. So what is this card telling us? This card is telling us that you need information. You need to sit down and either meditate, reach out to your spiritual advisor, talk to your doctor, talk to your lawyer, whoever you talk to, whoever that person is in your life that gives you direction. You need to meet with them. There is something that you need to know. Something is going on in your life that needs direction, and you should certainly check it out. So that's what this first card is telling us. Our next card, oh, I love this card. Our next card is the Bulls. Hecate is closely related, and bulls are, I mean, there's even one where she's cow-eyed or cow-headed in several of her drawings. Actually, I'm working on a plaque right now where she actually has a cow's head, which I'll be sure to share with you as well. The key words here are prowess, fortitude, and luxury. So when we look at this next card, this is in the key slot. This is action, right? What do we need to do to help balance the scales? What do we need to work on? Now this card again is prowess, fortitude, and luxury. So maybe you need to start being a little nicer to yourself. Maybe you need to do some self-care. Maybe there's someone in your life that needs to have this done. Maybe you need to share some of that luxury with someone else. Maybe make a donation. Maybe, go out and treat yourself to something. There are several ways to look at this card, and I think that this is one of my, like I mentioned, one of my favorite cards in the deck. Our next card is Future. So I'm going to hold this up to you. And it's very interesting. It's actually in your traditional layout. This would be the Future slot. This is the Athame slot in the crossroads layout. This means severing. What dead weight, what old habit are you being asked to get rid of right now? So when we look at this, this is vision, potential, and possibility. So what is there in your life that maybe you could get rid of? What is there something you could part with or release? Is it something related to your potential? Is there something going on at work? Is this related to your job? Or maybe it's your spiritual potential. Only you know these answers, right? These cards are just a guide. You already have this information. This just helps point you towards that information. So that's our last card. And I'm going to hold these up for you, right? We had the Oracle, we had the Bull, and we had the Future. So I'm going to hold those up for you again. Again, this is from the Crossroads Oracle, and it is available on my website. I recommend you go and have a look. Maybe there's something that might catch your eye, and you'll be able to help me meet my goals. So next week, we talked about Anubis this week. Next week, I'm going to talk about Thoth. Thoth is the master of words, the scribe of the gods. And for me, that's everything, right? One of my key bearer title is scribe. And that is because I am definitely someone who tracks and writes things down and follows up and knows the history. My other neurospicy people out there know exactly what I'm talking about. We have it all written down. We've got the receipts, right? So next week, we're going to talk about Thoth. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It helps me out. My channel is not monetized yet. I still don't have enough followers for that, but I would love to get there someday. Until then, I'm just here sharing this information with you because I like to do that. To me, that's what torchbearers do. In the Covenant of Hecate, we have devotees, we have torchbearers, and we have key bearers. I am at the key bearer level, but I have not laid down my torch. I want to continue to share information and shine light so that others can benefit from what I know and what I still have to learn, because I study for these videos. I go through and I read and I find information. And to me, that's what it's all about, is sharing that information. So head to the website, check out the ways to support the Blessing Box, pick up a personal reading, and until next time, I hope you have a glorious day.